is just going to be kind of like an open format where I want everybody to like talk about their interpretation. It's kind of like, when you go to conference, everybody has different aha moments. Everybody's going to have different aha moments when they're reading a book like this, but it can also help solidify some things that you read, look at it with a different perspective. Not going to be something where, there's a right or wrong answer, obviously. But let's start with the introduction. I highly suggest if you did not read the introduction that you go back and read the introduction. I thought it was really good. Important part just to kind of set the stage for the whole book and kind of how it was. But I love where he said on the bottom of page 2, I wouldn't know if I would fail or succeed until I had the faith to step out of my own boat and quit. And he was talking about quitting his job, but I think, in you guys, when you read this stuff, like, this is great. Like, I always think like this is great crap to like post about, like, because a lot of times we have these feelings, but somebody else is writing them in a way where we necessarily didn't come up with the way that they're saying it. So don't be scared to like use some of this content on your social as well, like when you're posting. But he said, have you been there? Have you felt like God was calling you to do something more, maybe a little scary and unfamiliar, but that would take you a step further into your purpose and your destiny? We all have that one time or another. It's always unexpected and can be confusing. There's no manual or set of rules that tells you what to do when God taps you on the shoulder and whispers it's time to make a move. And I related that so much, and I know so many other people do too. And just like understanding like that is like super uncomfortable for a lot of people. And there's so many times, and just validating that feeling. And I love on page 4 when he says, Scripture says, so let us come boldly to the throne of our gracious God. God gives us the authority to come before him boldly to ask for what we need. So why are we afraid to go boldly before a man or a woman to ask what we need? In other words, step up and ask. And like, why are we so scared? Like, and why are we even scared to do it to God? Like, why are we so scared to ask God for what we want? Why are we? Oh gosh, hold on. Let me make sure everybody's muted. Why are we so scared to ask other people about whatever it is that we need or we're wanting to offer them, whether that's the business or whether that's just help in general when we're asking other people for help? Let's see. Does anybody else have anything in the introduction that really stood out to them?
I really liked on page 11, towards like the middle of it, he was just saying like, what I care about is seeing you live out your God-given purpose in this life, walk in your calling, and unleash the full power of your gifts. If you feel stuck in your career, feel a deep sense that there's more to life than the life you're living. Or if you're just looking for information about how to get to the next level of your calling, then this book is for you. So I just liked how he like recapped like what this is going to be about. And I think anyone in this business or not this business can really like grow and be more fulfilled after they're reading this book.
Yeah, 100%. And I love when he said like, you can be wildly successful in a secular world without losing your faith, because so often, and depending on if you grew up in church or not, like sometimes it's like, in order to be deeply faithful, like you have to serve in the church, or you have to do something within ministry, or you have to do whatever. But like having that peace to understand that like you can, it's called the Success Principles or Success Commandments by Devon Franklin. But understanding that like this, you don't have, like what God is calling you to do is not always going to be within the confines of the church walls, right? But he says your success in the secular world can actually strengthen your faith. And it's so true, because when you think about it, it's easy to hang around people within the church. It takes a different level of faith to be successful with people who don't have those same beliefs as you, because you still have to hold strong while you're getting hit from all these different areas. And, maybe people believe in different things than you. And it's not easy because it's not comfortable, right? Everybody has those different sets of beliefs. And he said, faith will not hold you back from success. It will empower it. God wants us to ground ourselves in spirituality and then venture out boldly boldly venture out into our careers. And so the first step is finding your faith, right? Is grounding yourself in what it is that his word says. And then he's saying, go out and do it, right? Go out and then boldly step out. But you have to be grounded in that faith. And I think it was, I don't know, I wrote it at the top, but I don't know where he wrote this, but he's defined success as the deepest sense of peace in our life. And I thought that was such an interesting definition of success, of having a deep sense of peace, living out our true calling and fulfilling the purpose which we are created for, and understanding like it's not a rank, it's not a bag, it's not a pair of shoes, it's not the house that we buy, but it's really just having that sense of peace, because there's a lot of people who are successful, and don't have any peace in their life. They're successful by like society standards, but they're not necessarily like peaceful and ready to move on. And at the last part of the page, as he says, this book is, or the last page 14, he said, this book is a user's manual for balancing secular and spiritual and for understanding how it fits into another. The balance is the place where ambition meets accountability. I love that so much. Ambition meets accountability, and what you want for your life meets what God wants for you. And understanding that. And he said, being who God called you to be is going to take everything you've got. Like, we idolize this idea of like, fulfilling our purpose and doing it and making it sound like so romanticized, like we're going to be on a Disney movie. But like at the end of the day, he's sitting here telling you, saying like, it's going to take everything you got. And it's going to take your spirit. It's going to take your physically, emotionally, everything. You have to push and push and push and then push some more. Reaching your dream is always harder than you think it's going to be. The world does not give up what you want easily. It gives up grudgingly. God will inspire, guide, teach, and reveal, but he won't do the work for you. That right there is like, there's a whole sermon on that. Okay. Anybody else want to add anything from the introduction? Okay.
What's the name of the book?
Oh, the name of the book is called The Success Commandments. Okay. Chapter 1. Who wants to start with their favorite part of chapter 1?
I'll start.
I will. Oh.
Okay. Both of you. Katie, you can go first, and then Meg, and then Tracy, you can go.
So it's not the introduction, but it kind of like goes along with everything you were just saying. I think for me, like I raised up, like when I was raised, like we didn't go to church, and it doesn't mean that I didn't have faith, but like I didn't know anything about it. And so everything that I knew about praying was like just asking God for something. And like it was only something that I did like when I was really in a like dark spot and needed something. And so when I read, it's on page 17. Where did it go? It was, I was raised in faith and we're taught that the Lord is all powerful and can achieve anything for those who have faith in him. And that's all true, but just because God can do anything doesn't mean that he should or that he will. And I think that hit me because it kind of taught me that like I can't just ask for things and I'm not going to get them if I'm not prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that kind of set the tone for me for like the rest of the chapters that we read.
Yeah, I love that. And it is true. Like a lot of people are praying like for the result. They're not praying for like he said, like God's going to guide you. He's going to give you the wisdom. He's going to give you those things, but like, he's not doing it for you, but he's going to give you the tools for you to do it. It's just like what TD Jake said. You guys know how I feel about the sermon of like, God doesn't make freaking tables. He doesn't make chairs. He gave you the trees to make the freaking table and the chairs, and he gave you hands and he gave you a mind. And so like it's our job to kind of put those tools to use and put everything that he gave us together. So I love that. And it's so true. So many people just are praying, not like, because there's no really wrong way to pray, but it's like you're praying for something that's like the result of what wisdom God can give you, and you'll get to the result on your own. Right. Okay, Tracy, go ahead.
Yeah, she hit on what I was going to hit on as well about you can sit there and pray and pray and pray when he's talking about his wife.
Yeah.
And then she's sitting there eating junk food and wondering why she's not getting the part she's been praying for. It was because you have to get ready for, you have to prepare. And then he talks about, think of your kids. You want to teach them everything and take care of them. But if you don't let them do it on their own, they're not going to learn from it. And so, and that's what I took from that. And that was so true, because so many people just sit there, or they only pray when they need something. It's you need to be praying all the time, but you have to prepare for what you're asking him for. And sometimes we forget about that. We just pray and don't prepare for, okay, I want this, but I'm actually not ready. Like if his wife would have got that part, she wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah, so good. It's all so true. Anybody else have anything from chapter 1 that they loved? I felt the part where he said on 22, we love the results, but we hate waiting for them. I was like, guilty. Okay. Because it, like he says, and he used the example of the gym, right? If you set out transforming your body and you work out for a month, you're not going to see the results. You work out for 6 months, you see the results, but you won't see the fullness of those results. It might take a year or more to manifest the results you have in your mind today. In life, we quit too early. We put in minimum effort and expect maximum return. Receiving the best life and career don't work like that. If we don't learn to fully commit to the process required for success, you will never achieve all the results the process can yield. If you just pray and do half the work, you're never going to achieve the fullness of your purpose. And I love that. And then he, at the 23, he continued and he said, put in the time, commit 100% to the process, and rewards will come. Because the stronger, more determined, more focused, smarter person you're becoming, that's a reward in and of itself. And I was like, dang, every single time when we are committed, when we choose to show up, when we choose to do the things that it takes, whether you're talking about a relationship, whether you're talking about, I bought mine on Amazon. I bought my book on Amazon. I think it's like $13 on Amazon. I think it's more expensive. I tried to look at Barnes and Nobles, and I think it actually at a store, and I think it was like $18. So I think it's actually cheaper on Amazon. But I think that the person that you become in the process, and all of us who have been in the business for, at least a year can attest to this, is the result and the end thing that we're craving, the rank or the money or whatever, that's not even the best part about it. The best part about it is proving to ourselves and showing up and becoming that better version of ourselves each and every day. Because that's what it's truly about. Because at the end, when everything is stripped away, if you have that in yourself and you've created the person, God created us, right? But we get to help mold ourselves. And if you show up, then if all that stuff is taken away, you know that you're capable of doing it again. You know that you're capable of recreating whatever it is. And then you work in faith and not fear. Because you have the confidence that, hey, you know what? If crap happens in my business, if crap happens in my life, that I'm still going to show up because of who I am. Because that defines me more than what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's super powerful, and that's super empowering. And it allows you to work in more faith, knowing that you've transformed yourself.
I absolutely love at the bottom of 23 and at the top of 24. He was saying the big problem with setbacks is that we often look at them without a spiritual perspective. When we do that, we only see failures or disappointments as setbacks that take us further away from our goals. Discouragement makes us doubt God and ourselves. We ask, if God loves me so much, why would he allow me to fail? Why was I stupid enough to believe I could have what I want? When we can't reconcile the God we believe in with the life we believe we are destined to live, disappointment can take up permanent residence in our lives, detouring us indefinitely and leading to years of bitter unhappiness. So now try and experiment. Look at everything in the last year of your life that you've labeled as a setback and relabel it as a setup. Definitely designed to help you achieve your purpose. I was just like, yes. Everyone takes those setbacks and they're like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not meant to be doing this business. Like I lost rank, or maybe, maybe God has a different plan for me. And we like overthink things and we, overanalyze things. But like every single setback is a setup to the next level, to finding the next people, to building the right team and having the right promotion with the best people. And like God's working in our favor every day. Like if we're planting the seeds, like He's already aligned the people that we need to go Ambassador Diamond and beyond. Like those people are already out there. They're picked, they're hand-picked. We just have to go put in the work and find them.
Yep.
Like they're already hand-picked. So
good. It's so good. And he says, I love like how he explains it too. He says at the bottom of 24, God places setups in your path so that by the time you make it through them, you've become someone who can do the job in any capacity, who can lead and excel. Because think about it. It's like, here's the thing is if you've ever been injured and like had to work your way back through like a physical injury and you get back on the court too soon, you're going to re-injure yourself. It's the same thing. God's trying to tell you, you're not strong enough yet. I'm putting you through this so you'll get stronger, right? Because I don't want you to re-injure yourself and take you out for good. Like, and that's the incredible thing is that these setbacks are just that. They're just setbacks, right? They're just setups. Like he's literally, it's like, one step back, 2 steps forward, so that when you step 2 times forward, you're prepared and you're not going to be pushed back, right? Because if you got everything you want, you wouldn't be prepared to handle it. You wouldn't be prepared to handle it. And so I think that that's such an incredible perspective. And let's see, anybody else want to share? I think my favorite part of this whole chapter, I mean, there's so much good stuff. And I love when he started talking about how to pray. And I love when, how he talked about it's like communication and it's connection. And the more you pray, the more aligned you become with God and you have a better relationship with him. But it also helps you understand yourself. And I was like, dang, I've never really thought about prayer like that, where like prayer really helps you understand who you are and it helps you understand him. And you're going to have more power because you're in communion with the person who created you, or with the God that created you. And I think that everybody who's insecure, they lack somewhere in their prayer life. They lack somewhere in their prayer life, because God will give you that reassurance. He's going to give you that reaffirmation. Like nobody else can get it for you. And if you're looking for it for somebody else, it's only temporary. And you're going to depend on it way too heavily moving forward if you don't start praying to God regularly and asking for it. And, one thing I've been learning about fasting is like, because I've never really fasted and I didn't really understand the point, because I always thought people just did it to lose weight and cover it up with some religious thing. Like I was like, oh, people just fasting if they want to lose weight. But I realized like the reason you're fasting is you're saying, I desire this, right? Like I'm giving up something I desire so that I can get something that I desire more. Right? Because every single time you start desiring it, you're supposed to turn that desire and put it on God and say, and pray and build that connection and build that relationship. Because when you do that, you're saying what is earthly doesn't matter. What I crave more is a relationship with you. And so every time you want the Diet Coke, or every time you want the carbs, or every time you want the whatever, it's not about that. It's just about making sure that your desires are in the right priority. And I thought just that was like super interesting when I was reading about it, because I think that will allow people to be free and recognizing like I'm not craving that the external approval. Like I'm not craving the desire, like the people to approve of me. What I'm craving is for God to approve of what I'm doing. And when you kind of readjust that mindset, then your confidence can come in who he is, and not necessarily who everybody else thinks you are. And like we talked about last night, it's like God doesn't see you where you are now. That's not where he sees you. He doesn't see you for your current situation. So stop praying for like that situation to change and start praying for you to change. so that you can adjust to the next situation that he already has ready for you. He's just waiting on you to step up and mold yourself and transform. So I just thought that was super interesting. And so, I mean, I could literally just like read the whole chapter and have aha moments all over again. I love when he said prayer can open your mind, but it can't fill it completely. And there was some stuff where I was like, dang, like I need to work on that, because I know that there are things that I pray for that I'm like, dang, you know, I could do it. Like, why am I praying for that? Like, God's not going to give us something that we can do ourselves. Like, I love when he said that, like, what was it? Let's see. He said, God doesn't give us what we have the power to get for ourselves. God doesn't give us what we have the power to get for ourselves. Right? I mean, all of us have experienced this in real life, not from God, but we've experienced, like, it's just somebody says, hey, can you go get me that? Are your legs broke? Are your legs broke? I'm sure that God says that to us sometimes. Like, what? You're just using me as a magic genie? Like, you're asking for this stuff that you're just too lazy to get? Clearly, it doesn't mean that much to you. And then you're not going to value the blessing when it comes if you didn't have to work for it. So I love that. Let's see. Okay. Then he ended the chapter just with a bomb. He said, if all you've got is yourself, your job, your relationship with God, you've got enough. The question is what are you going to do with it? I'm going to repeat that. If all you've got is yourself, your job, your relationship with God, you've got enough. The question is what are you going to do with it? So I want to ask, what's one thing that you took from the chapter that you can implement today? That you can implement, that you can do something different because of what you read? Because we can sit here and we can read these chapters and talk about how inspired we are, but if we ain't changing anything with what we're reading, it ain't going to do anything. So does anybody want to share something that they're doing differently because of what they've read in this chapter?
That whole praying and humility, get off your knees and get up and do the work. Get up and start kicking ass. You get on your knees and you pray with humility. Then you get off your knees and you get to work.
Yep.
I just love that. I'm going to pin it on my wall.
After you pray, become a beast.
Yes.
I was literally hyped. I stood up when I was reading it and I was like, let's go.
So like whenever he says you have to do as Jesus did and put yourself in environments that will change who you are. And like, that's one thing that I'm like committing to. Like, I just started going to, like a women's group meeting at church. So I'm like getting involved with like people at the church and just being surrounding myself around like God-like women and just connecting with new people outside of just the business. And also, something that I really want to commit to this year is going to like multiple conferences, like entrepreneur conferences that have nothing to do with our business, that are just, you're getting around people that are top level people, high income earners, millionaires, billionaires that are successful in business. And like, I'm just committing to learning and getting around those people that make me level up.
Yeah, I love that so much. Anybody else? One thing for me is I love like how he was just talking about like how you have to study what you're doing. Like, and so for me, it's really just becoming like a student of social media, a student of like, and like really looking into like what is going to work instead of just being so basic about things. Like, instead of just doing what we've always done, but really looking into what's working right now on social media and studying those things and what's working on TikTok and how I can, and like really learning those things versus just reacting and doing them, but being more proactive and actually studying what we're doing and becoming an expert in the field. Even with color personalities, it's something that I've started doing, is like really actually studying it versus just trying to base it off of like some basic square PowerPoint that I had looked at one time, and really looking at how can I change the way I'm training from this standpoint. And so I love like just thinking about how this is actually a spiritual book, but he's forcing us to do more than just be spiritual with it, right? Okay, let's move into chapter 2. You are the talent. What is on somebody's heart that God just spoke to you in this chapter about?
I think just like when he's talking about you are the talent and like, using your gifts to serve, you know what I mean? And like figuring out like, what are your gifts? Like God has placed specific gifts in inside of each of us. And like, how are we using them to our fullest advantage to grow our business, grow our team, inspire people? So I think just like that alone was just,
Yep.
Yeah, and to go off of what Tay said, the fact that he goes into talking about like what are your unique talents. So that got me thinking about like what is it specifically that I have that's unique to me that I can take and run with in my business? Like what is something that's going to stand out that's not just doing the 6 list every day and doing what I'm quote unquote supposed to be doing? Like what is going to stick out? What is unique to me?
Yep. I love that. Go ahead, Tracy.
Where he talked about recycling that box means throwing away the box that others tried to put you in. It's not your responsibility to make other people comfortable with your talent. That I just love that.
Yeah.
That's a post. Good. I'm gonna have to post that.
I know. And I think I love when he said, like, not only you have to recycle box, but you have to have that talent mentality and like recognizing that God gave you talent so you could be confident in the talent you have. And when you're not confident, you're really discrediting him. And understanding that like the scope of whatever that gift is, it doesn't really matter. It just matters that you're confident in what you're doing, that you're confident that you have a talent in this, no matter what people said, no matter, like you said, what box they put you in. It just means that you have a confidence based on knowing who you are and what you have to offer. I love when he says confidence is a fragrance everyone wants to smell. When you feel good about who you are and you know what you can do and you own it, you position yourself to be unstoppable. Like that is so lit right there. Like think about that. Confidence is a fragrance everybody wants to smell. When you feel good about who you are and you know what you can do and you own it, you position yourself to become unstoppable. David had a talent mentality before he ever became king. Before he fought Goliath, he projected a confidence and an authority that was essential to his success. He was the only one in the kingdom of Israel brave enough to face the giant. And all he had was a slingshot and 5 stones. Yet he didn't have a slingshot and 5 stones mentality. He proclaimed to Goliath, and he goes into the scripture. He said, doesn't this get you hyped? What would happen if all of us projected the level of confidence even before we were certain of the outcome? What would happen? Seriously, what would happen for you guys if you just decided to be confident and projected that confident mentality? You knew what you had your hands on because like he says he projected a confidence and an authority that was essential to his success. What if that was the only thing holding you back right now? What if that was the missing key to your success, is you having the confidence of what your talent is? Know that even if you don't feel it or see it right now, God made you an extraordinary, consequential, important talent destined to do great and life-changing things. So good, you guys. So good. And I love, and he before that, he said, he didn't just gift you with the talent, you are the talent. Right? It's just not something he gave you, it's who you are.
That's just Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now myself. It's not easy, but I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, and you just have to pray for that. Pray for him to give you that confidence. Pray for him, to help you recognize and be sure about what that talent is, because I think so often people will go back and forth about, this is what my talent is. Oh, I don't know, like this, and it's happened to me before. That's the only reason I know that, about going back and forth. But once you really think about and you get quiet and you say, Lord, show me a sign and help me become confident, he's going to reveal it to you. But you have to be available to listen to what he's going to say. Okay?
I'm here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm excited for you, girl. God puts you in positions not to frustrate you, but to give you the opportunity to hone your talent. To be both servant and master is to be like Jesus, who was a humble healer and a teacher, and the bold, prophetic, savvy warrior like Son of God. We can be these two things at the same time. We can be these two things at the same time. How amazing is that? And if you're struggling, thinking of what your talent is or figuring that out, number one, you're not really struggling. You're just not willing to admit it to yourself, because I truly believe that we all know what value we bring. I think we sometimes it's like buried in the sand, and the sand is what society's told you, what somebody has said to you, how somebody else demeans you, what your comparison to X person of, oh, I'm good at this, but I'm not as good as this person. Okay, just cut out all that. You know what talent God gave you. Let's just be real. But think of it as this, think of it like he says, as talent creation. Value creation. What value are you adding when you step into the room? Is it your energy? Is it your poise? Is it your grace? Is it the way you speak life into people? Is it the way you can love on people? Is it what value are you creating for other people? And then he gives those three things, which are so good about how you know if what you're pursuing is truly from God. He says you love doing it, and he says God places it on our hearts because he knows that the more we love what he asks us to do, the more likely we are to do it and to excel at it. So like if you like doing something that not a lot of other people like doing, or like you're like, why was that so hard for somebody else? Like, and it comes a little bit natural to you, then like for me, that's how you know you love doing it. Right? Like for me, it's like talking. Like I could sit on here and talk to you guys, but some of you guys are like, nope, I don't want to unmute myself. I don't like that. And I'm like, it doesn't, but like, that's because I love doing it. And so many times you have to think about, what do you love doing that makes other people kind of be like, no thanks, right? That will be a good indicator for you. The next thing he says is it stretches you. God isn't interested in your comfort zone if it does not serve him. God isn't interested in your comfort zone if it doesn't serve him. His gift to you is his gift, whether you're comfortable with it or not. That's so key for you guys to understand. His gift to you is his gift, whether you're comfortable with it or not. But if you're not, that's a great sign that it is something that makes you talent. If nurturing this God-given ability pushes you to test yourself or leads you down career paths that you're not completely comfortable with, embrace it. God wants us all to stretch and grow beyond what we believe we can do, and turn that slight current of fear into exaltation. Number 3, it validates you. It says it makes you feel like your days have meaning and that you're adding something important to the world. So what gives you that validation? Even if only you and God see that it's meaningful, that's enough. Let me repeat this. Even if only God and you see that it's meaningful, that's enough. Stop waiting for the world to give you that validation. Doesn't matter if you're taking care of your mom. It does not matter. If that validates you, if it gives you meaning, if it gives you purpose, then that's what you need to do. Right? And it might not be the most glorified job. We're not talking about acting in Hollywood here. But you have to understand that it's important. If it gives your days meaning and you feel like you're adding value to somebody, that's important validation. Okay? Okay. Somebody else can go because I know I'm like over here basically rereading the whole book. We're almost done. Does anybody else have anything about the discipline, no destiny portion? Don't be scared to speak up, y'all. God's not interested in your comfort zone. I'm just kidding. I mean, not kidding, but I'm kidding.
I like when he's just talking about like the table salt. Talent is cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work, point blank.
Mm.
As you either begin to determine what your talent is or having identified the way in which you are talent, try to develop your talent, remembering that you are enough. Talent is never enough.
Yep. I love when he said, what if your prayers for career advancement have already been answered, but they've not been manifested because you aren't displaying the discipline required to handle the opportunity? Woo! What if, y'all? What if your prayers for career advancement have already been answered, but they have not manifested because you are not displaying the discipline required to handle the opportunity?
Then I'm going to have to work even harder and focus. I got to really focus to get this because I know I want this. I feel so good at doing this job. It's just, it's like it's empowering me. And this is something that I really want.
Yes, exactly. Like she said, it's the only thing that separates it is a lot of hard work. Right? And like he says, if there's no discipline, there's no destiny. He said, do an assessment of your discipline and look for areas where you are not as disciplined as you need to be, and then make adjustments immediately. Discipline, the will and persistence to work and practice every day is the key to unlocking your destiny. Have the discipline to walk the path set down for you by God and try not to veer away from it. There is no substitute for this. Also, don't let yourself be seduced into laziness by your talent. Woo, that's good, right? That's good. Don't let yourself be seduced into laziness by your talent. And he talked, I don't know where, if it was in this chapter or whatever, but he talks about how like there's so many talented people that succeed at nothing. There's so many people who are talented out there that succeed at nothing because they don't do anything with it. They don't do anything. You are talent, but you're not necessarily prepared yet. That comes into the mix. That comes when you mix talent with hard work and discipline. Do not let your ability make you complacent. I love when he said the word humility means to go low. I was like, dang. God opposes the proud and shows favor to the humble. Talent is God-given. This is from John Wooden. So good. Talent is God-given. Be humble. Fame is man-given. Be grateful. Conceit is self-given. Be careful. Connie, what was your favorite part of this chapter?
I didn't read it.
That's okay. I'm glad that you're on here.
I had to get the Audible today because I was on Zoom with Katie earlier trying to read, and my brain just can't stay focused. I took Adderall, so
I do both. Like I was like having the Audible read to me.
yeah. Well, I just got it today, so that's my plan to get caught up for next week.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's good. And don't be ashamed. I mean, the fact that you're on here is good. It's good.
That's the best way to do that, if you ask me, Connie, is get the Audible and read it as you're listening, because I've gotten so much more out of these books by doing that. That's why Melanie just got her book today too, and I just told her get the Audible too and start listening to it. and reading it at the same time, and you'll get so much more out of it than just reading the words. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. And like I'll go, because like when you hear it, and you guys also have to remember there is power in reading too. I know a lot of people like will do audibles, and I'm not saying there's not a time and a place for it, but in Atomic Habits he talks about how you have 11 million sensory receptors in your body, and 10 million of those are visual. 10 million of those out of 11 million. So there's 10 million dedicated to your visual senses, and the rest of the 1 million are for touch, ears, hearing, smell, like, but all the other ones are visual. And that's why vision boards are so important. That's why there's so much power, like, in creating habits with the visual stuff of it. Like, that is like the same, that's so good. And so doing both is really good, because you're hitting two different types of receptors, right? You're hitting your visual and your auditory. So I love that. But going back to this word humility, I think some people get it confused, and it means that you have to be meek. Like, it means that you have to be like quiet. It means that you have to not have like an opinion, and that's not what being humble means. It means to go low. And he says, to experience the power of God, you must go under his mighty hand. He didn't say, stand on my hand and I'll prop you up. He said, I will put my hand over you. God did not grant your talent for your purposes, but for his. Part of humility is admitting I'm not where I want to be in my career. In our social media driven culture, that's not something you might like to admit. Maybe you'd rather fake it, but you present a public image that says, I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. But the reality is that you're not. If you have great talent, perhaps you even feel worse. How can I not have the talent, have the career I want, the life I want when I have this talent? Well, there are many different reasons. God's appointed time for your rise may not have come yet. You may not have put in enough work, or maybe you've been proud and forgotten what your talent is for. Remember, God opposes the proud and shows favor to the humble. We often look at humility as being the opposite of strength, but it's not. Many of the most influential and powerful people in the world are also the humblest. They recognize that it's not about them. It's about what God does through them. And as a result, they are blessed. Okay. And I just want to say, like, for this part, for this humility part, it's not about acting like you're not talented. That's not what that is. Being humble is not saying, oh no, like somebody gives you a compliment. No, girl, no. It's saying like, yeah, I'm blessed, and I'm blessed that I get to do this for other people. I'm blessed that I'm not sitting here saying like being humble means you guys can not accept compliments, that you cannot accept the fact that like you are talented in whatever field that you are talented in, whatever area that you are talented in, but you say, yes, but it's not me, it's him. And I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for him. And when you say that, that's humility. You can know that you're good. Just know that it wouldn't be possible through him. And that's confidence. That is not conceit. That is not being conceited. Right? And there's a difference between the two. That was like a big aha moment for me. Because I think a lot of times I'm like, oh no, like blah, blah, blah. And I do that. Like, I'm like trying to be humble, but that's the wrong version of humble. Okay. Let's see. Remember, this is the last part. Remember, your talent is on loan from heaven. Invest it wisely. And I love when he said use the visual mentors too. That was really good. Okay, so for next time, we will do chapters 3 and 4. Let's see. So it'll go up through 105. So we'll do 57 to 105. So we'll read you have to carry a crown before you can wear one, and you have to know the rules to play the game. And feel free, you guys, like if you're reading this and you just like are feeling apart, like go live in the team page or write something out. If you don't want to go live, and write something out and share it. You know, you want to try to get as many people doing self-development, investing in books, reading books, doing things that are going to grow them mentally on your team as possible. And just on our team as a whole.
Okay, first one, you have to wear a crown. You have to.
You have to wear carry a crown before you can wear one,
Okay.
and you have to know the rules to play the game before you can play the game. Does anybody want to add anything before we wrap up?
Next Tuesday, right?
Yes, same time next Tuesday at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Okay, well, I love you guys. Thanks for hopping on. I hope you guys are getting as much out of this book as I am, and just know that I pray for you guys daily, and I'm excited to see what God does through us reading this book. So, love you.